Please describe your job title and primary duties.
So I was a cosmetic sales associate. That was one of the few different positions that I had done. It's a good thing about Walmart that you can like switch your positions around if you like. You know, you want to try something else out. Basically, I worked at the steel yard Walmart, and the cosmetic section is like a separate section from like the rest of the store. So like there's a register there, you know, so and a lot of things are locked up for theft reasons. So a lot of times it's like a lot of just kind of walking around the cosmetic section, putting things away, unlocking things for customers and then ringing them out for them at the register you have, because you're not allowed to give it to them because it's locked up. But around that line, you know, kind of trying to be like a little bit knowledgeable, obviously be knowledgeable about like cosmetic products in general, because, you know, customers are going to ask you a lot of questions about like, hey, you guys have this, or do you know if this is good, you know? So a lot of the time, my personal experiences working over there made me spend a lot of money because I just bought a lot of things that were over there. So I ended up being really knowledgeable on some of the things.
What was the work environment like?
It can kind of get overwhelming if it's like your first time over there, because it's like a lot of things are locked up, and a lot of things that are locked up people need, like razors, and it's like, so yeah, it's like razors, shaving cream, you know, things that are like cheap sometimes, they're just locked up. So it's a lot of trying to walk around and see if customers need anything, or putting things up, or trying to put things up at the same time while you have like 10 different customers that need something unlocked, and so it can get a little overwhelming in that aspect. But other than that, it's pretty relaxed. It's a really relaxed compared to any other position at Walmart, because it's like its own specialized section, which you aren't dealing with a customer back to back to back like if you were a cashier. But it can get overwhelming with the many items that you're getting out, and then some customers want their items taken to the front. Some of the customers want to pay for their items now. Then you get customers that are like, well, why can't you give it to me? And it's like, that's my job, I can't. So then it's kind of like trying to balance with angry customers and explaining to them that like, yeah, it's a theft prevention thing. And then they get upset because they're like, oh, you think I'm going to steal? It's like, no, but anyone could steal. So it can get overwhelming for a first timer if it's your first job.
What was your favorite part about working there?
I think my favorite part about working at Walmart was probably like the cosmetic section, because it was relaxed. Like my day went so smooth, and then like if there wasn't anything for me to put back, and it was like a slow day and we didn't have any customers, I kind of just walked around and just like I would zone. So like you would just kind of fix stuff and put it back where it belongs if it wasn't in the right spot, or straighten things out and stuff like that. And a lot of times like that, I would like see new products we got and be like, ooh, I want to buy that. So I mean, it was just kind of like relaxing, a good time to like. And it also was like a good balance between school, because I could, like, as cosmetic section, there's a register, so I would try to sneak and do homework sometimes, like a little bit of homework, like some stuff that I only needed a piece of paper for or something like that.
Please describe the application and interview process.
So when you apply to Walmart, you apply online. And I recommend, I mean, unless you want a specific position, then I would recommend applying for all, because you can pick specific or all. So when I applied, I didn't come in as a cosmetic associate. I came in as a cashier, and because when I applied, I did any position just so I can get the job. And that's, you know, usually how you get the job is you apply for any position. And when you come in, you can tell them that I'd rather be at this position, and you know they'll work with you. So the application online is pretty easy. It just asks you, you know, normal things that an application would ask, and then there's a little short quiz, like a math quiz for like, say if you're going to do a cashier position, just so you know math. Pretty much, it's just a little bit of a math quiz. If you fail the math quiz, then you can't get hired at Walmart. Like that's the one thing. Like they're really like, if you fail that quiz, you can't take an application again unless you use a different email. You can do that. You can use a different email to make it and do it that way. But their whole thing is like, if you fail the math quiz, well, we don't want you because you don't know math. Yeah, they're a little, or say there's, I don't know now, I heard recently that there's a new, like, you know how McDonald's has like personality type quiz? I heard that there's some new part that Walmart has that too, that they'll deny you based on that. It wasn't there when I took the application, so I can't vouch for that, but some people have told me. Then if you just put in an application, you're not gonna get, because so many people put an application to Walmart every day, and there's only one associate in the personnel office. Well, two, one at one time, at least at my Walmart. So it's a lot of applications for one person to look through. So you have to call, like, say a week after your application, I would recommend to call and say, hey, my name is so-and-so, and I applied for this position. I was wanting to know if you guys looked over my application and what's the status of my application. Just like you call any other job when you are calling to get a job. And, they'll usually say, like, what's your name, what position we're applying for, and usually right then she'll ask you to come in for an interview. At least at Steelyard, if you call, they're not going to tell you no, or they're not going to tell you, well, we haven't looked at your application yet. She'll pull it up right then and be like, well, would you like to come in for an interview? And then you'll come in for the first interview. And the interview is just quick interview, ask you a couple questions, explain to you ask you about like your schedule and where you've worked, ask a little bit more. Whenever I apply for a job, I submit my resume, and my resume is like pretty good because I just put a whole bunch of extra words on there to make my babysitting job seem like I was working at the Oval Office. You kind of got to use trick words to like trick them to think the job was better than it was. So when I went for my interview, they were like, well, you did good on your resume. You make yourself sound really impressive. So they ask you more about your job experience, normal things like that. And then you come in for a second interview, and the second interview is usually with the store manager or an assistant manager, just so they can see your face and know who you are. And just to say like, yep, okay, my name is so-so, we're gonna get you on a schedule, and they'll give you your first day. So if you got a second interview, you got the job.
What questions did the interviewer ask during the job interview?
Well, yeah, they ask you like what to clarify in your job experience. They ask you, why would you be a good fit for Walmart? Everywhere asks that. Why would you be a good fit? What position would you prefer and why? What else did they ask me? It was a long time ago. Sorry. What position and why? That was really it. Like my interview was really fast. Like it went really quick. We kind of, because the guy who did my first interview used to work because I was working for days at the time, and he worked for my manager like 10, 20 years ago, he said. So we kind of talked about my old job a little bit and talked about how that manager was. It was short. Asked about I just asked about what I said, asked about my experience and what position I wanted and why I'd be a good fit.
How were you notified that you received the job?
Well, yeah, after I left the second interview, like he said that I could get an email within a couple hours, and then a couple hours I got an email saying, congratulations. It's like a mass email sent to everybody they accept. It's not like a personalized email. And I never got a phone call that was like, come in for an interview either. Like I hounded them to get the interview. That's the point about, like Walmart specifically, it's hard to get a phone call from them, more so that you have to, call them. Unless you called and then they're returning your call.
What set you apart from other candidates?
Calling, like I said, make sure you call. Like call. Don't feel like you're bothering them, because the point is to bother them. That you have to show them that like, hey, I want this job. So it definitely sets you apart from anybody else who just puts an application and waits 2 months and then makes a phone call. They're gonna look at you like, did you really need this job, or do you really want this job? As soon as a week hit after I put my application in, I called at 9 o'clock that morning. Told her my name. She said she'd call me back. She never called me back. I called later that day. Talked to somebody else. It turned out to be assistant manager. He said, okay, I'm gonna look over your interview. I'm looking over your application. Give me a second. And then he told me to come in for an interview. And like I said earlier, make your resume seem amazing. Like, even if you worked at McDonald's, make that 9 to 5 at McDonald's look like you worked for the president. Like, word it right to where it's like, yeah, I learned these skills, teamwork skills, team building skills. You just kind of pull a whole bunch of skills out, make up a whole bunch of skills that you learned from that job, basically.
What other advice would you give to a job seeker looking to gain employment?
If the phone call it doesn't work, you can show up. I know a lot of people I've gotten a few people hired at Walmart, or like because there was like there was like a time period when they were moving our personnel person to a different position, and then they didn't really have a new one yet. So it was kind of like random managers going in there and doing the job. So it was kind of hard to bring more associates in when it's not their position. They're doing that job plus theirs. So I recommended people to come in and go to customer service, say, hey, can I talk to a manager real quick? I put in an interview, I put in an application, and they got sent to person, well, at least one person, it was 2 people that did that. Second person, she didn't have any job experience and she was under 18, so they told me like, no, they weren't interested in her. They didn't impress her in the interview, but first person, she impressed them really well, and they took her into personnel to put her on file that day as soon as she showed up, when she talked to somebody. So just be persistent.